I came home early one Saturday and overheard my parents whispering about moving my sister into my apartment. Every word cut like a knife. Stick with me while I share my story, and if it touches you, don't forget to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and sharing it with the people you care about. My name is Juno. I'm smart, independent, and I finally got my own apartment. I thought it was my safe space, my place to be me. My parents, Clive and Mara, are controlling and always think they know what's best. My sister, Tess, is entitled and manipulative. That morning, I heard them talking in whispers, planning to move Tess into my apartment while I was away. I couldn't believe it. They had never even asked me. It felt like my space, my choices, my life didn't matter to them. I was hurt and angry, but I stayed quiet. I let them believe I would confront them later. I let them pack boxes and plan the surprise. But I had a plan of my own. Weeks before, I had secretly moved all my things to another apartment. Every photo, every piece of furniture, every little thing that made the apartment mine, it was gone. When they arrived, ready to settle Tess in, the place was empty. Clive and Mara stood there, speechless. Tess looked confused and frustrated. I called them from my new apartment and calmly told them I had moved out permanently. It was quiet revenge, but it felt perfect. I reclaimed my independence. I set boundaries without shouting or arguing. My parents finally understood that I am my own person, and my space is mine to protect. The moment I heard my parents laughing about moving my sister into my apartment, my chest tightened. I couldn't believe they thought I'd let this happen. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Lark. I've always been practical and fiercely independent, working hard to make my life my own. My parents, Harlan and Vivian, are obsessed with family tradition, always trying to control every choice I make. My sister, Rue, is charming on the outside but selfish at heart. That afternoon, I went to check the mail and overheard them whispering excitedly about moving Rue in, acting like I wouldn't notice. It felt like my privacy and efforts meant nothing to them. I was hurt, but I knew reacting in anger wouldn't help. Weeks earlier, I had quietly packed up the essentials I couldn't live without and stored them safely. I left behind only what would make the apartment look untouched, so no one would suspect. On the day they came to surprise Rue with my space, they walked in with boxes and smiles, ready to take over. I stayed calm and collected, letting them feel confident for a moment. Then, I told them I had already moved to another city for work. The shock on Harlan and Vivian's faces was immediate. Rue's smug grin disappeared, replaced by confusion and frustration. For the first time, I saw them realize that I make my own decisions. In that moment, I felt powerful. I had taken control of my life without yelling or fighting. Free from their expectations, I finally felt the weight lift. My space, my choices, and my future were mine alone, and no one could take that away. I never imagined my own parents would betray me like this, planning to replace me in my own home with my sister. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Zadie. I'm quiet but resilient, always keeping my composure even when life pushes me around. My parents, Calvin and Ruth, act loving, but their control runs deep. My sister, Nola, has always been the favored one, getting attention and perks without effort. One evening, while grabbing groceries, I overheard them whispering excitedly about moving Nola into my apartment. I froze, realizing they had never thought to ask me. The sting of being ignored cut through me. It wasn't just about the apartment, it was about respect and my choices. I had anticipated this kind of behavior and quietly prepared. Over the past weeks, I had packed up my essentials, leaving behind only the boxes and items that made the apartment look untouched. It was all an illusion, a silent setup for the moment I would reclaim my power. When Calvin and Ruth arrived, smiling and carrying boxes, they assumed I was still living there. I watched their confident expressions falter as I calmly revealed that I had moved out weeks ago. Silence filled the room. Nola's face dropped, unsure how to react. For the first time, my parents understood that I could make decisions for myself. No more favoritism, no more assumptions. My quiet planning had given me the upper hand without confrontation or chaos. In that moment, I felt a surge of strength. I had proven that my life is mine to control. I had reclaimed my space, my independence, and my dignity. They finally saw that I am not someone to be manipulated or replaced. My heart sank when I heard them plotting to give my apartment to my sister. I felt invisible in my own family. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Sia. I'm independent and resourceful, always finding ways to handle life on my own. My parents, Gideon and Paige, are cold and controlling, treating decisions as if they own me. My sister, Faye, thrives on attention and always gets what she wants. That afternoon, I was on the porch watering plants when I overheard their conversation. They were discussing moving Faye into my place, assuming I wouldn't object. It was shocking. How could they dismiss me so easily? I felt my trust and respect evaporate in an instant. I had anticipated moments like this and prepared quietly. Days before, I moved my essentials to a new apartment, leaving the place staged perfectly so it looked untouched. Everything seemed normal, but the reality was completely different. When Gideon and Paige arrived, expecting an easy takeover, their faces froze. Boxes were lined up, but the apartment was empty. Faye's excitement faded into confusion, and my parents' confident demeanor crumbled. I picked up the phone and laughed softly as I told them I had moved permanently. The surprise and embarrassment were clear. No yelling, no arguments, just the quiet satisfaction of reclaiming control. For the first time, they understood that I cannot be dictated or manipulated. I had taken my life into my own hands, proving that independence is non-negotiable. In that moment, I felt a deep sense of victory. I had shown them, without words of anger, that my choices are mine alone, and no one can take that away. They thought they could just replace me with my sister. I let them pack everything before I dropped the bomb. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Tessie. I'm clever and determined, always thinking a few steps ahead. My parents, Eamon and Lydia, act loving, but their control runs deep. They believe they know what's best for me at every turn. My sister, Cleo, is manipulative and knows how to charm everyone to get her way. One morning, I was in the kitchen when I overheard them whispering excitedly about moving Cleo into my apartment. My stomach sank. They acted like they had the right to decide my life for me, as if my choices didn't matter. The betrayal hit harder than I expected. Weeks ago, I had quietly moved everything I couldn't live without to a new place. I left behind just enough to make it look like I was still living there, letting them feel confident that they could take over. As they busied themselves labeling boxes and chatting, I stayed silent, letting them think their plan was working perfectly. Then I called. Their voices froze when I told them I had already left. The apartment was empty. I was gone. For the first time, my parents understood that I am not someone they can control. Cleo's smug expression vanished, replaced by shock and frustration. I felt a rush of satisfaction and freedom. No arguments, no yelling, just quiet, complete independence. In that moment, I proved that my life belongs to me, and no one's schemes or manipulation could take that away. My boundaries were clear, and my family finally had to face it. I heard my parents whispering about moving my sister into my apartment, and my blood ran cold. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Vina. I'm bold and strategic, always planning ahead to stay in control of my life. My parents, Orson and Merle, follow tradition strictly and try to manipulate every decision I make. My sister, Lumi, is spoiled and self-centered, always taking what she wants without thinking of anyone else. While I was on a phone call one evening, I overheard them excitedly discussing moving Lumi into my apartment. My heart sank. They hadn't considered my feelings at all, acting as if my life and choices didn't matter. The betrayal was sharp and unexpected. I had already anticipated their behavior and quietly prepared. I packed all the essentials I needed for daily life and moved them to a new place, leaving the apartment staged to look normal. It gave me the perfect illusion that nothing had changed. The day they arrived, expecting an easy takeover, they carried boxes and smiled, completely unaware of the truth. I let them settle in for a moment before I made the call. I calmly told them I had already moved to another state. Their expressions shifted instantly, confusion, shock, and frustration filled the room. Lumi's smug grin faded, and my parents' confidence crumbled. In that moment, I felt a surge of empowerment. Their silence was a testament to my independence. I had taken control of my life without confrontation, proving that my choices are mine alone. No one could dictate my path, and finally, I was free. I never thought my own family could betray me in my own home, planning to move my sister in without asking. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Remy. I'm smart and fiercely independent, always making sure my life stays on my terms. My parents, Fletcher and Holly, seem loving, but beneath the surface, their manipulation runs deep. My sister, Kale, is charming but entitled, expecting everything to go her way. One afternoon, while checking the mail, I overheard them whispering about moving Kale into my apartment. I froze. They assumed I would quietly comply, like my opinions and plans didn't matter. The realization hit me hard. Weeks earlier, I had secretly packed all the essentials I needed and moved them to a new place. I left the apartment looking untouched, creating the perfect illusion that I was still there. It was my way of taking control without confrontation. When Fletcher and Holly arrived, eager to settle Kale in, they found the apartment empty. Their confident smiles vanished instantly. Kale looked around, confused, unable to understand what had happened. I sent a text from my new city, calmly letting them know I had moved permanently. The shock was clear through their silence. In that moment, I felt a rush of empowerment. I had claimed my independence, proving that no one could dictate my life. My boundaries were respected, not through anger or yelling, but through careful planning. I had my freedom and my self-respect, and for the first time in a long while, I felt completely untouchable. They plotted to replace me in my apartment with my sister. I let them do all the work before revealing the truth. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Nova. I'm independent and witty, always staying one step ahead. My parents, Harvey and Celine, are controlling in subtle ways, guiding my choices without me realizing it at first. My sister, Ivy, is manipulative and self-serving, always finding a way to benefit herself. One evening, while cooking dinner, I overheard them talking about moving Ivy into my apartment. My heart sank. They hadn't even considered my opinion, assuming I would silently accept their plan. The betrayal stung deeply. Weeks ago, I had quietly packed everything I needed and moved it to a new apartment. I left the place arranged to look exactly as it had been, giving the impression that nothing had changed. When Harvey and Celine arrived, ready to settle Ivy in, confusion quickly replaced their confidence. The apartment was empty, and Ivy's smug expression faltered. I called from my new home and calmly told them I had permanently relocated. Their shock was immediate. Silence filled the space as they realized I had outsmarted them without confrontation or anger. In that moment, I felt a powerful sense of freedom. I had protected my life, my choices, and my space. My parents learned that they cannot dictate my path, and Ivy could not claim what was never hers. For the first time, I truly felt untouchable, in control of my own destiny. I never expected my parents to betray me this way, planning to gift my apartment to my sister. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Sable. I'm clever and strong-willed, always making sure no one can dictate my choices. My parents, Dorian and Maris, are manipulative and overbearing, always trying to control what I do. My sister, Zara, is sly and attention-seeking, ready to take advantage of any opportunity. During a morning walk, I overheard them whispering about moving Zara into my apartment. My stomach sank. They acted as if my independence didn't matter, treating my home like it wasn't mine. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. I had already prepared. Quietly, I packed everything I needed and moved it to a new city, leaving the apartment staged to look untouched. It was the perfect plan to reclaim control without confrontation. When Dorian and Maris arrived, expecting an easy surprise move-in, their confident smiles quickly faded. The place was empty, and Zara's excitement vanished into confusion. I called them from my new apartment and calmly told them I had already relocated. Shock and disbelief replaced their earlier confidence. That moment was satisfying. No yelling, no chaos, just quiet, undeniable empowerment. I had reclaimed my independence, proving that my life and choices belonged to me alone. My parents learned they could not manipulate me, and I felt stronger, freer, and completely in control of my own path. I never expected my parents to betray me this way, planning to gift my apartment to my sister. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Sable. I'm clever and strong-willed, always making sure no one can dictate my choices. My parents, Dorian and Maris, are manipulative and overbearing, always trying to control what I do. My sister, Zara, is sly and attention-seeking, ready to take advantage of any opportunity. During a morning walk, I overheard them whispering about moving Zara into my apartment. My stomach sank. They acted as if my independence didn't matter, treating my home like it wasn't mine. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. I had already prepared. Quietly, I packed everything I needed and moved it to a new city, leaving the apartment staged to look untouched. It was the perfect plan to reclaim control without confrontation. When Dorian and Maris arrived, expecting an easy surprise move-in, their confident smiles quickly faded. The place was empty, and Zara's excitement vanished into confusion. I called them from my new apartment and calmly told them I had already relocated. Shock and disbelief replaced their earlier confidence. That moment was satisfying. No yelling, no chaos, just quiet, undeniable empowerment. I had reclaimed my independence, proving that my life and choices belonged to me alone. My parents learned they could not manipulate me, and I felt stronger, freer, and completely in control of my own path. My parents thought they could just move my sister into my apartment, like I didn't even matter. I let them pack everything before revealing I'd already left. Stick with me while I share my story. My name is Leora. I'm strong and self-reliant, always making sure my choices come first. My parents, Tobias and Irene, act affectionate, but their control is always just beneath the surface. My sister, Fen, is entitled and cunning, always looking for a way to get ahead. One morning, while sipping coffee, I overheard them talking about moving Fen into my apartment. I felt a chill. They assumed that my silence meant I would agree, treating my space and decisions like they weren't mine. The betrayal hit hard, but I stayed composed. Weeks before, I had quietly packed all the items I needed and relocated them to a new city. I left the apartment perfectly arranged so it looked untouched, keeping up appearances so they wouldn't suspect a thing. When Tobias and Irene arrived, ready to bring Fen in, their confidence evaporated. The apartment was empty. Fen's excited expression froze, and my parents' smiles vanished instantly. I called from my new home and told them I had already moved out. Shock and disbelief replaced their earlier certainty. In that moment, I felt a surge of power. I had taken control of my life without arguing or fighting. My independence was clear, my boundaries respected, and my family left speechless. I had proven that my life is mine to live, and no one could ever dictate it. Do you think I did the right thing by leaving my family, or should I have given them another chance? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and hit the notification bell.